Hi everyone, welcome back to JP WHU TV. It's nice to see you. I hope you're keeping well, and more specifically, I hope you can hear us as well, for that matter, because we had a load of problems yesterday. But I've done some running checks, and we can actually hear ourselves now. So hopefully you guys can hear us. There's nobody watching at the moment, which is fucking typical. But hopefully by the time we get through this, we'll get some people getting involved. But apologies for those that were watching the premiere of the recorded version that went up last night. I do apologise for those technical errors. I've no idea what was happening, but it looks like everything has now been sorted. So, excuse me, tonight Dennis and I are going to be discussing West Ham's transfer window dealings and as it's happened so far. By all means, for anybody that's watching, by all means, please do put in the live chat that you can hear us both, of course, and also for that matter, can you please also put your comments down in the live chat as to how you feel the window has been going. But as always, guys, this video is sponsored by the channel sponsor 3retro.com. Please click the link in the description below that will take you directly through to the West Ham section of their website, where you can purchase some really nice retro gear along with track jackets, polo shirts, sweatshirts and t-shirts made by Admiral and Umbro, so go check those out. Any purchases you make through the link in the description below, the commission that the channel would normally be getting, as I always say, I'll be sending on to the charity Iron Supporting Food Banks. They're based in the Newham area, and they're helping those in the Newham area and the Essex County and further afield for that matter, as they're currently supporting over 70 separate food banks, probably close to 80 by now. So go grab yourself a really nice retro shirt or a very nice polo, track jacket, whatever you want. You'll be saving yourself a few quid in comparison to the club shop, and you'll be helping those that are less fortunate than you and I. So again, guys, if you can let us know that you can hear me at the moment, and let us know if you can hear Dennis, our guest, in a minute. But if you want to make a donation directly to the charity, but you don't want to make a transaction through the 3retro link, it's perfectly fine. Just above it is the Just Giving fund for them, and you'll be more than welcome to make a donation that way. £1, £2, £5, any amount you can afford. Believe me, guys, it really does help. So yeah, without further ado, let's bring in the man with multiple personalities and multiple opinions to go with them. It's Dennis Watling. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Multiple personalities. I've got professional Dennis and casual Dennis.
There you
What
go.
you know is probably
Multiple,
somewhere in
more than
between.
one.
Yeah, there we are. And yep, multiple opinions to go with them. But yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to the start of the new season for a rare moment there. And yeah, looking forward to reviewing some good, some questionable transfers we've had so far this window.
Okay, so basically what we're going to be talking about. Yeah, brilliant. Ross, thank you very much, mate, for confirming. If I can just remember where that is. He has confirmed. You won't see it, Dennis, but he has said in the chat that I can hear Dennis. So no need for lip reading, as it was last night. So basically, as we were trying to do last night, because obviously you were wearing your replica of this season's shirt. We started off by talking about, and I've talked about it as well on previous streams, and content, that we, both of us, for this season, even though I purchased last season's away kit through the same link, we've both been getting our gear from a website called DH Gate, which, for those that don't know about it, it's basically a wholesale website which have slight little deficiencies apparently, and you can pick them up for, in comparison to the 75-80 quid that the club are picking them up for, was even though they're probably buying them the same prices that we are buying them for, the club are selling them for 75 to 80 quid. And sorry, Russ has just gone in saying you both are cheapskates, and he said that it was a lovely shirt, then, and it is. It's a beautiful one. I've got it behind there. I've got the away shirt coming in as well, for that matter. So that should be delivered in the next couple of days. So I'll be doing a video about both of those when they're both turn up. Obviously, the third shirt is meant to be announced by the weekend, just in time for the friendly that the majority of us, including myself and Dennis, are going to be boycotting because of the fact we just feel we're
Yeah.
being overcharged.
I will be going to watch Margate instead. Support
Down to Margate.
support your local non-league team.
Ross is saying support your club, mate. We're season ticket holders. We've been Dennis has been losing his hair, and mine's been going grey since we started supporting West Ham. So of course you can't get much better than that. I know Ross is just bantering with us. Well, his attempts at banter anyway. But mate, because you obviously got your home shirt the other day, and you were wearing it, as Ross has testified. How'd you feel about the shirt, mate?
Like I said, it's from a wholesaler. There's maybe some slight defects to it, and that's why it's not been picked up by a major seller like JD or something. But yeah, it's as good as you can get. Um, by no means are we sort of sponsoring or thing like that. However, as a consumer, I have bought it and I am pleased with my product.
Good. I mean, because at the end of the day, because it's a wholesale that it's they are very very minor deficiencies, and Russ is saying that's why it's a tenner, mate. It's exactly the same as what
Mm.
as the shirts are as well. They're literally, it's got all the official Umbro stuff on it. It's so we are being ripped off. I'm sorry, I've said it many times. We are being ripped off by everything and everything going on with the concessions stuff on top of it. We are being absolutely taken apart. But main crux of this conversation, transfer window. So yeah, it's going to be deja vu from Dennis and I, and but we're still going to crack on with it. So first of all, let's talk about the outgoings, because obviously we come into the decent stuff, and I'm interested to see exactly which are questionable signings that you referred to at the start of it. But let's not forget, 6 years ago today, before we actually go into it itself, 6 years ago today, Lucas Perez was having his medical with us.
Underrated player.
Yeah, yeah. I thought he was a very very good signing for us, and you could argue to a degree that's how far we've come in such little. I know six years sounds like a lot of time, but it really isn't when you think about it. It generally isn't. And Russ is being his usual hypocrite, saying, "I'm joking. I've had loads of shirts off DHK." Well, there you go, mate. Yeah, put your stones down from your glass house, mate. And Russ is also saying you ruined Lucas Perez.
We we gave him. I think he was on about 100 grand a week, and that was kind of the problem.
Mm.
That we needed to shift those wages because he weren't a first team starter.
No, exactly. So, okay, so let's talk about it. One of the first ones to technically go out at the start of the window is Thilo Kehrer for 11 million euros and just under £9.5 million over to Monaco. Then your thoughts on the Kehrer and as the player as well as the transfer?
Well, as I said, I've always
Stop saying as you
always
said, mate. Nobody could hear you yesterday.
well, as I have said in multiple forums, including other channels and maybe even this one, I think Kera was given a bit of harsh treatment. Never really played consistently in a position. Did make some errors.
Mm,
However, we've only made a marginal loss on him.
yeah.
So this is a couple of examples of rare good business by us, because normally we massively undervalue our players that
Mm.
we sell. Like we tend to have the reputation of accepting the first bid and going, yeah, go on then, mate. 2 million sorted. We've only made an 8 million loss there, for example. But Kerrell, we bought him for roughly 11 million, and we've sold him for 10 million and change. And the loan fee from Monaco probably would have added that up to make it getting your money back and the wages saved. Wish him all the best. I thought he was all right for us. And we'll always have MC Kera from the parade after Prague.
Do you know what? That's the biggest thing I'm gonna miss, because that was lovely of that, because I remember it to the day I die. But he basically came out and said, "Look, I'm not a man of many words, but what I will say is, he went mental. He was so buzzing, it was unreal. Thilo Kehrer, I think, was harshly done by his defensive colleagues. We've talked about it a lot last season, and also I've said it, mentioned it many times. For example, Craig Dawson's horrendous back pass to him at the start of last season, that caused him to get outdone by, and Zouma putting him in a no man's land basically, which caused that penalty. I think it was either in the same game or the game after it, one of the two.
No, it was that was the Brighton game, I think. That
Yeah.
was very early on.
But yeah, that was. But I'd maintain he's better as a centre back as he is than he is as a right back as a result. But yeah, excuse me. It's a real shame that he's gone. But it is what it is. We can't really do anything about it. I do think will that sort of level of personality will be missing, especially obviously with a couple of other players that have left, which we're going to talk about as well, for that matter. Not this one, of course. Syed Benrahma going off to Lyon for just under 14.5 million euros, or just over 12.25 million pounds. But little bit weird when it comes to Benrahma, wouldn't you say, mate? In terms of his history with us.
Yeah, I mean, you had Benrahma in the Europa Conference League, sorry, that was, top quality, and he scored the or the first of the two most important goals of recent memory, um, for us in the Conference League. However, like, he went off the boil. The Benrahma that came back that summer window in 2023 was not the Benrahma that took that penalty in the Europa Conference final. He's a confidence player, and there's arguments that Moyes knocked his confidence. There's also the argument that Moyes knew the talent he had and was very frustrated and disappointed with him. You also got to remember is that from the rumor and innuendo out there, how true this is, Moyes wanted Eze, not him, and he got him because Eze had already gone to Palace by that point. But Benrahma was then depreciated in value by going out on that low, by making it very clear we don't want him. And I think that conversation probably happened a little bit sooner because of his getting himself sent off against Liverpool in the cup. Or was it no, it's Bristol in the cup he got himself
Bristol,
sent.
yeah.
And it's like, well, that was curtains. That was the last time he'll ever play for us, really. And like the fee was probably agreed before he went out on loan. And £14 million and 13 a bit million pound is not bad money considering how much devalued we had him. But considering we bought him for almost double that, that's a bad bit of business if you got you in cold light of day. He's still he's 28, like you said, he's not getting any, not as young as some people think, but when he joined us, he was meant to be like, going to become a prime Premier League player. And at sometimes in 2022, he looked like he was going to be that player.
No, agreed 100%, mate. I mean, we just kind of thought with again with the Conference League final, we just thought that he's coming back. This is the Benrahma that we know we had when especially when he came in on loan originally before his deal was made permanent in that January. There's 9 people watching, guys. Come on, put your comments in the comment section below. Let us know what you're thinking about these players as and when we talk about them. So for those that have just joined, because it's skyrocketed over the last couple of minutes, we've had Thilo. We've talked about Thilo Kehrer. We talked about Benrahma. So let us know what your thoughts are on that. We've got some comments coming in as I say it. Ross Morgan says, "Is Kilfowl still there?" Yes, he is.
Yeah.
The West Ham Massive, which I think is who is it now? West Ham Massive. Who was that? That's I can't remember his name now. But welcome, good to see you, mate. Good evening to you as well. I know he messaged me the other day about something, but you haven't had a chance to get back to him. Who was it now? It's going to bug the hell out of me. You tell me in a minute. But yeah, Gatesy. Hello, Gatesy. Good to see you, fella, before he puts it in the comment. But yeah, Benrahma, I do kind of think I'm hazarding a guess to cheers, Gatesy, mate. Yeah, well done. Thanks, fella. I am struggling to disagree with Benrahma going. I've always kind of thought that he's too good for the Championship but not good enough for the majority of the Premier League. I do think it was a wasted talent. He was a number 10 as much as usual. I do think he was a number 10. He played much better in that position. We have the same thing with Lanzini. He wasn't as good playing out on the wing as he was in the midfield positions. But again, as you're saying, mate, yes, all right. It's we sold him for 50% less of what we originally bought him for. But it was the right move. There's a player that was unhappy. As much as I like a player that's unhappy because it just shows passion, it shows tenacity, and then wants to prove his point. It was just giving up. I think both parties just gave up after a little while. I really think they were. So guys, come on, give us your thoughts on Benrahma. As we move on to the next player now, Flynn Downs going to Southampton for just over 15 million quid, or 17.75 million euros. What you saying, fella? Dennis?
Yeah. So you broke up for a second there on my end. So you say we're talking about Flynn Downs now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Flynn Downs, we all wanted it to happen. We wanted him to be local boy, not trained at club, but like next Mark Noble. We signed him for about 9 million. We've sold him for almost double that, which is some rare good investment to sale there for us. I would have given him a go in the first team, especially with Alvarez, who loves a booking and loves a little niggle injury, so he comes out the side. So we had no other CDM last season, so I would have kept him for cover, but for his career, he needed to go out and play. I think he's so pivotal to Southampton and so intricate into the way that Russell Martin has them playing, that he was always going to get the move over there, in my opinion, because he smashed it in the championship for them. I'm sad to see him go, but from a financial point of view, it makes sense. And we're going to come on to the signings in a minute.
Mm.
That increase in sale from him, that extra 10 million profit, roughly, that is gonna add to what some of the people we've brought in and potentially could bring in for the rest of the window.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I was saying to Bill when we were talking about possibility of Flynn Downs leaving during his season at Southampton last season. I said he's one of the best players in the Championship down there, and we should really be looking for 20 to 25 million pounds. So from that point of view, I'm a little bit disappointed that we didn't get the value that I thought we would do from that point of view. But yes, it's a good piece of business. Gatesy is saying, Benny, wonderfully gifted player, but not at a top level, I'm afraid. Thanks for your ice cold penalty against Prague. Sorry, in Prague, I should say. So yeah, but yeah, very, very disappointing. Michael, thank you very much for your comment. I'm not going to put it up on the screen yet because we'll talk about our incomings. So give us a few minutes, mate. Stick around for that. But trust me, mate, when we get round to the signing that you've or the sale from your point of view that you've talked about, then yes, you know, it will definitely we'll definitely go into it in a bit more detail. The next player to talk about is what was supposed to be the next goalkeeper coming through the academy, Nathan Trott, being sold to Copenhagen for £1.29 million or €1.5 million. Mate, mute your mic next time you do it, yeah, rather than put your hand over it. But your thoughts on Nathan Trott?
Yeah, I mean, it's a move that kind of is a long time coming. If he was as good as people said he was or could have been, he would have been ready by now. I've got to question the logic of some of his moves, his loan moves. Second division of the French league, the second division of the Danish league, which is effectively, you know, you've only got elevator clubs in there that go up and go down by and large. Got to question how that is meant to develop him. You know, going out on loan one season to second division France is okay if you then follow that up with a more competitive loan afterwards, not a downgrade to Danish second league. But he's gone to a good club. Like, he's gone to a regular Europe club that's regularly in Europe, regularly up there fighting for the championship, if not winning it quite a lot. Arguably the biggest team in the history of Danish football, the modern history at least. And if he can go there and be number one, 2 or 3 seasons time, he could develop into a Premier League quality goalkeeper. So keep an eye on him. I don't. I'm not too optimistic, but there is still hope for him to develop because goalkeepers tend to hit their peak in their early 30s.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, right move. A small fee compared to what he was talked up about, but we kind of butchered him with those loan moves.
Yeah, to a degree, I agree with you because all the talk about around when he was breaking through. I mean, obviously, you know, there's some issues against and for AFC Wimbledon a few seasons ago as well, for that matter. But he was being touted as what everybody is now saying about your boy Hedgie. So, you know, you just never know. But you're absolutely right. Defenders and goalkeepers can last a lot longer in terms. I mean, you know, most goalkeepers, well, taking Brad Friedel out of the equation, most goalkeepers will retire in their early 30s, and likewise with defenders because they're not there for their pace. I mean, they have to be more for pace now than they were beforehand. But yeah, it's disappointing. I mean, it's always disappointing when an academy graduate either gets sold or goes on a free, because obviously we'll talk about a couple of those as well in a minute. But yeah, the next junior as it stands, it hasn't been officially confirmed yet, but it looks like Patrick Kelly is going out on loan to Doncaster for the majority of this season. I know he's not a player that many people know about. I mean, he's a youngster. He's like 18, 19, if I remember correctly. He's a midfield player, so he's got a lot of years ahead of him. But then, your thoughts on the move, if any?
Then let's just see how it works out. Heard good things. Didn't arrive to too much fanfare, and was viewed as, you know, at the time around 2022, 2023, a lot of our players that we had brought in, like young players that we had bought for like a nominal fee or 100 grand, were then being sold to the championship for about 1 million. And it was like, oh, it's another one of them to make a small amount of profit in the long term. hoping he breaks the cycle. But we've also got a lot of good young players that might be on the verge of being in our cup squads. And perhaps he's not quite at that level. So that's why he's gone out on loan to Doncaster.
Yeah.
Best of luck to him.
Absolutely. And Gatesy, thank you very much for the call of action. And yes, if you guys don't like, share, and subscribe, yeah, we'll get Kurt Zouma back on cat duty. So yeah, Gatesy is saying if youth players aren't going to get the opportunities in the first team this season, loaning them out is a great way to see how they would cope playing against grown men. Of course, with Doncaster, it's League Two, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it'll be a really, really good test. Good test for him. Now, officially, unofficially, because this is part of the departures of the summer transfer window, Calvin Phillips went back to Man City at the end of the season. I know it's a bit flippant to ask, and of course the answer is going to be no. But do you think Man City might give us a rebate?
No. No, it's hard enough getting money out of them for other things, it appears. So
Or getting fined a small amount of money for something they should have been fined a lot heavier for, as it was the other day. But yeah, but all jokes aside, though, in terms of the move that he did from January until the end of May, what were your thoughts on Calvin?
one of the worst loan signings we've had, possibly, maybe as bad as Wayne Bridge, maybe. Don't want to be too obviously football is a human being still, and we saw the reaction he had up in Newcastle, but it just everything he did, he had the reverse Midas touch. It was ridiculous. I think for him, the best thing for him from a logic standpoint is to go on loan to Leeds United in the Championship, get comfortable, the team he grew up with and loved, and just enjoy playing football again in a level where he should, even if he's not at the best, still play very well, and then come back and reassess. And if Leeds go up, go back there. The move was doomed from the start because he has always played possession-based football under Bielsa, under Guardiola, and under Southgate.
Yep.
We did under Moyes, we played without the ball. So it was an absolutely baffling signing in hindsight. At the time, I was like, "Yeah, it's a good signing. Calvin Phillips on loan." I've never seen him have a particular poor game. I'm not saying he's great every time I saw him, but I'd never see him have a bad game at that point. When he come in, it was like, no. He needs too much. He needs time on the ball. He needs to be in a possession-based team, not a counter-attacking team. So it was destined to fail.
Gatesy asked quite a good question. Didn't we loan Benny McCarthy?
No, we bought him permanently.
Was it?
Yeah, permanent signing. Zola wanted him. Cost us about 2.2 million. January 2009 from Blackburn.
That's true. Yeah, no, it was. I thought it was a loan as well, for that matter. But okay.
We had to terminate his contract early in 2011.
Yeah.
And it was clear from his first game that he weren't up for it.
Yeah, exactly. But and likewise, as Gates is saying there, the old saying is "buyer beware." for both, really. But yeah, I just say I do think Calvin Phillips. It was disappointing. We all thought it was going to be good. It was going to be a good move, but it just never happened. And but at the same point, it's a risk you take in football, especially when you're signing somebody even on loan that hasn't played football for 12 months. I mean, not properly, So yeah, Gatesy saying he was abysmal. Guys, there's 11 people watching. Come on, as much as it's lovely to see Michael Brown's questions in and comments in there about the signings, the recruitments. We're not talking about that as yet. But while we've got a Leeds fan in the chat, would it surprise you if Calvin Phillips went back to Leeds next season, or this coming season, I should say?
Are you asking the Leeds fan or asking me?
No, I'm asking you, mate.
But if the finances can be worked out, I think that's the best option. Because I'm pretty certain Leeds fans still have them in their good graces. I could be wrong with that. I don't know. And it's kind of that it makes sense kind of deal. Like, for example, Bellamy going on loan to Cardiff randomly from Man City that time. Surplus to requirements. Go have some fun at your boyhood club, mate. So yeah, it makes sense, but it's down to finances, and I think City can definitely afford to cover his wages.
Oh, 100%. And that's basically what Michael's saying here as well. Leeds won't go for Calvin his salary, which wouldn't work in the Championship unless he takes a huge pay cut. Brain, welcome, mate. Good to see you. Villa were there for the taking from the Hammers' first match. Mate, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the transfer window. Come on. You know the rules. That's what happens when you have a spud in the chat for a long time. But yeah, so one of the first, sorry, the second of three. Second of four, I should say, academy graduates we're going to talk about now. Ben Johnson leaving on a free, going to Ipswich. What were your thoughts on that move, mate?
This is the one that I'm like, this is a mistake. This is a mistake. Is he the best going to be our starting right back? Probably not, but he showed the ability in from January onwards that he actually was playing quite well. Everyone talks about that
Hmm.
centre midfield cameo against Sheffield United, but I remember I can't. I think it was Bournemouth at home. I can't remember the opposition, but he had an absolutely amazing game at right back. Like just came in out of the blue. It could have been because I think it was after the suspension of Kufal at Sheffield United. He came in and covered for Kufal and
Hmm.
played really well. I think we should have gotten more serious and tougher negotiating this time last year over a new deal and not when it realised, oh, we might have some potential around like April time. I think his mind was set that we weren't committing to him, so he won't commit to us from his point of view. Yes, his wages were apparently a bit outlandish, but that's why I'm saying a bit tougher negotiating and more convincing about a project. I wish him all the best. I think he's certainly going to be good enough to play for Ipswich. But I'm not got encyclopedic knowledge of their squad. And let's just say hypothetically, Ipswich go down, he's going to be a nailed on starter in the Championship for them, and then could maybe get a move back to the Premier League either with them or with a transfer. And who knows if the money's right? I wouldn't be shocked if we go back in for him because of the homegrown and trained at club
You
status.
mean if Ipswich stay up in the Premier League because they got promoted last season?
Yeah, so I mean, but if they go back down,
Right. Yeah.
I'm saying he's been. If he stays there, he's guaranteed to start in the
Yeah.
Championship.
No.
I
No.
don't know.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah,
Well, now the move's happened. Um, I think I can divulge what my neighbours said. To me because literally the neighbour there is friends with the Johnson family, and one of the reasons why the move didn't happen was because I say one of it there was quite a few. I mean, there's obviously from either both sides, but one of the reasons why Ben Johnson's new contract didn't happen was because Karen Brady wanted to do a contract directly with him and leave his agent out of the picture, aka the agent was asking for money, which is what X has backed up. You know, the X was saying that the agent was getting involved as well, for that matter. Um, so yeah, it doesn't surprise me, but I agree with it. You know, I'm really disappointed that we've not been able to see him again in the Clout and Blue. But again, you never know. You know, he might do a Joe Cole in a few years' time and come back. You
really.
absolutely never know. Michael saying Calvin is loved by the Leeds fan base as being a hometown player, but his time at Leeds, he was injury prone, and Leeds have moved on. 100%, mate. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Okay, third of the four academy graduates to move this summer is Joseph Anang over to St Patrick's in the Irish Premier League again on a free. Your thoughts on that move, mate?
I mean, Anang, I've never seen him. The only reference I've got is my friend who's a Stevenage town or Stevenage borough season ticket holder who said he was just absolutely woeful when he went on loan there, was the words that came out of their mouths. Um, Again, 24-year-old goalkeeper. It's been decided he's probably not going to cut it. He's gone off to St Patrick's in Ireland, which isn't a bad level. It's not. Hey, it's that's not like it's not like he's gone to non-league obscurity.
Mm.
He's gone to a decent level, especially if he's going to be number one there. But again, something that I probably should have mentioned with the Nathan was that we have like how history keeps repeating itself with our youth goalkeepers.
Mm.
We always have three highly rated keepers that could be number one, and the only ones to ever go on to have a decent career has been Marek Stech, who then went out to play for Europe for Sparta Prague or Slavia Prague. I can't
I think
remember
it's
which
Slavia
one.
Prague. I think, yeah.
Rude Boffin, who went on to play Turkish Premier League football for like forever and even scored a goal. He even scored I found out. Then that's moderate success compared to our other youth goalkeepers in my time.
Mm.
You've got to go all the way back to Stephen Bywater, really, for a
True.
player. There's all our other young keepers that have come out, like Jake Larkins, things like that. They never really kind of cut it. There was that Spiegel guy we had from Switzerland playing second division Portuguese football last I checked. So it's just another thing. Hopefully Heji breaks the cycle because obviously Bayern Munich wanted him and stuff, but he's got to have the opportunity and he's got to have sensible loans.
Mm.
Ended him down to loans where it's or they're going to sit on the bench, or a league that's kind of like again, like as I would trot, second division Danish football. I don't think he's going to get too much development there.
No, I agree 100%. And also, I mean, again, he's a junior, so he's got many years ahead of him to absolutely perfect his profession as a goalkeeper. So, but yes, yeah, you can, yeah, he hasn't been able to make it at any level that he's gone to, and as it stands at the moment, neither is this player. The last one we want to talk about, Divine Mubama, left on a free. Your thoughts on his relative cameo over the last 18 months? And
Well, yeah, last summer I was popping up in the comments on your stream talking about my boy Mabama.
yeah.
Like I was bigging him up. I was seeing him in the youth team, being like, look at him go. I reckon he'll be good enough to play in the cup or cup games or Europa group games. He got a couple of bites at first team football through necessity. Like he came on against Burnley and changed our attack in fairness and had a goal taken off of him because of a dubious own goal. And then, but
Yeah.
then was absolutely like shithoused out of the game at Bristol City when he came on for Paqueta as an injury and played up. Was no, yeah, Paqueta, and he played up top.
Correct.
And he was got absolutely bullied by experienced Grizzles Championship centre backs. Should have gone out on loan. I'd have, sat him down for a deal much earlier and put in places. Look, we're going to loan you at this level, then we're going to loan you at that level, then we're going to start trying to play you. Give him like a 2-year development plan, because I think one of the things that X was saying, and I could be wrong if I'm misquoting him here, was that one of the concerns Mabama had, along with several youth players, is like, well, am I going to, if I sign a contract, am I giving up 2 years of, at a young age to just sort of bench warm and play? Because he's too good for under 21s or too physical for under 21s, but not good, not quite physical enough or experienced enough for first team football. It's like Hugo out of The Simpsons. You're too much of a boy for Men's Town, too much of a men for Boys Town.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, mate. I mean, maybe when, I mean, those conversations were going on since January, if I remember correctly, and that was maybe they said, look, stay with us. We're going to have a more attacking manager for next season. Obviously, they didn't know that at the time. I mean, there was conversations going on with Lopetegui from November, if I remember correctly, from what David Ornstein and all that lot were saying. But yeah, he does. It's an intriguing one. But again, he's young. He's one. It just reminds me. I've just got a funny feeling we've got a junior Stanislav job going on our hands here, mate. I really do. I know they were in different positions and whatnot, but I do think Stanislas was let go too early. Even when we got relegated, and I feel it's the same with Bamba. But again, you never know. In a few years' time, he might come back to the Premier League either with us or somebody else. But the last player we're going to talk about in terms of a move actually happening is the lovely, hysterical, beautiful centre back that is Angelo Ogbonna. Was wanted to retire with West Ham, and unfortunately doesn't look like he's got that choice, and he was released as a result of it. I get it. He's old in terms of the position. He was with us. He was one of the few remaining players we've got since the last season at the Bowling. And it's been a phenomenal defender for us in every way. Very funny guy, really good sense of humour, decent. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of a snappy dresser as well from what I've seen of him over the years. But then your thoughts on Ogbonna and him leaving?
Well, the West Ham sort of media clips of them doing activities aren't going to be the same. If you watch them do the escape room one, all you got to wait is for Ogbonna doing the Power Christ compels you. The Catholicism of it being Italian. But like I said, solid, dependable. He had one season where, in my opinion, he was a liability. But he came back a lot better, especially when Moyes 2.0 happened. He was an absolute rock at the back for us. Yeah. Basically during lockdown, like the season and a half we had behind closed doors, he was an absolute rock. Was never quite the same after he had his knee snapped against Liverpool. And at that age, that kind of injury. But I do think we were worrying about getting into a kind of a Nigel Winterburn situation if we give him another deal or have to rely on him. And he's totally gone. And obviously he's kind of been replaced by a centre back we will talk about later, which is a huge sort of step up with someone 10 years as junior. Wish him well. I think coaching is his answer rather than going for another club. I'd like to see him come back as a sort of developing as a coach. as we sort of mentioned on the attempt to record last night, that there's several examples when him and Fabianski have been on the bench and they've been up supporting Kevin Nolan while sort of complaining or remonstrating to the fourth official or referee, showing a level of maturity and nous that some other players on the bench are just sat there happy to do it, happy to sit there. So I like that, and I think both the pair of them, I think, should be being rooted out for look as a coach, or go have one last year wherever you want to go, but come back as a coach, please.
No, agreed. Yeah, I mean, we'll never forget those headers that he scored for us. Who was it said it once? Somebody said that he jumped, he rose up like a salmon in the river for that. It was I think that was the goal against Spurs at home, if I remember correctly. I think, but yeah, I will miss him a hell of a lot. And while we're on the subject of it, it's very, very looking likely that Kurt Zouma is going to be going to a Saudi Arabia club at the moment. Nothing's completely confirmed as to who that club is, so we're not going to talk about rumor and conjecture on that. But we've been saying for many times last season, mate, and we that Kurt Zouma, that last season should have been his last. He's been absolutely done. Brain says, shame about Zouma, who was good once, but last season he became a liability. It was brilliant for us in his first season. But your thoughts on Zouma, his performances, and potentially going to Saudi Arabia?
I mean, like his season, he was bad overall, but I think there were moments in a couple of games last season where he was an absolute gladiator for us, especially Spurs away. I'd argue him and Bowen, keeping himself forward is the reason we won that game. Zouma put in so many last minute tackles on headers, and even got a nailed on goal onto the post. Like if he doesn't get to it, I think one of their wingers just nods into an open goal.
Yep.
He pulled off some good tackles. There's some good moments in games, but what I'm talking about moments overall, he cost us more than he gave us. It's like the comparison I used to have with Aaron Cresswell, people complaining about him losing his man. Like this was
No, I agree.
the year we wrote about was with Aaron Cresswell, because of the free kicks and the crosses and the assists, does he get you more goals than he loses? Once the defender starts losing more goals than he gets you or saves, that's when it's time to shut the ride down. And that's where we are with Zouma. With his knees, warm climber, he needs to go to southern Spain or Saudi or Dubai, which is where he's linked with at the minute. Wish him all the well, despite him kicking that cat, and hopefully we can get a nominal fee on top of the saving nearly over $500,000 a month, which I believe when his wages and bonuses will be comfortably $500,000 a month. It's $6 million over the course of the year. That's going to add to the key to get another centre back in.
I mean, at the end of the day, mate, we paid what, 30 million for him, I think, if I remember correctly. So yeah, if we can get close to that or a bit of profit on that, it'd be very, very handy. Yes, he's been an absolute phenomenon for us for a few games. Again, a very, very funny character from what you were able to see on the training ground videos and some of the interviews he did after. Oh God, Ross, here we go. So yeah, add to the kitty. But Tony, it's nice to see you, mate. I hope you're keeping well. But yeah, so overall, it looks like that we've sold. I mean, actually, just going back to Creswell, would Creswell have stayed if we hadn't had Lopetegui this season?
I don't think so. I think it's because Lopetegui wanted him at Wolves. But yeah, I think that he'd be gone on a free, and then we'd be scrambling for a left back.
Yeah, which we normally do anyway, to be fair, and we kind of are really. As it stands at the moment, it looks like we are trying to get both fullbacks by the looks of it. But yeah, 38 and just under £38.5 million sales. It's not bad. We've seen a hell of a lot of worse. I mean, it was, as we were trying to talk about last night, mate. Most of those players we were talking about would have had their contracts released and paid up in full, or we would have got next to nothing for. Definitely, we would have got next to nothing for Benrahma. We'd have got next to nothing for Kehrer. Certainly for Downs as well, for that matter. We would have. It's looking good so far. It is looking good. So let's come on to the ins. Now this is an unofficial in, but it is classed as an in because we didn't see him last season. Because last summer transfer window we signed Andy Irving from Klagenfurt and then he was loaned back out to them. We bought him for about £1.5 million. And and then he literally just came back and was within a couple of pre-season friendlies. He was classed as a cult hero. And your thoughts on what he could potentially do this season and what you've seen of him, Dan?
Well, you know what Andy Irvin is? He's like a new signing, like that old phrase we used to use about Kieran Dyer and Andy Carroll.
Yeah,
Um,
on the very rare occasion they would come back fit for more than a week.
yeah, yeah. But look, I mean, he's played a part in games largely down to people being away on international duty
Mm,
or being rested after it. But he took a very good goal that he scored.
mm.
He could well be someone on the bench. He could be covered. He could come on for some minutes. Um, it's good to have a cult hero. Like the last cult hero we had at this club was David Martin.
You'd argue
Realistically,
that, yes, definitely.
we've always had a kind of a cult hero. Like you had, to a very very lesser extent, Yelovich or Zarate. Although Zarate was a lot better than other cult heroes, and he had like Jonathan Spector. For me, Radislav Kovac.
Carlton Cole.
Although Colton Cole, although again, Colton Cole was actually quite decent for us as a
Yeah.
cult hero. He's not quite the cult hero he might have been.
To interject you there, Dan, in terms of cult hero status of a player that was reasonable to good, I'll say Carlton Cole was the last one.
Mm.
I mean, some people may argue and Outovich is turned into a cult hero once we got over all that snake shit and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, you never know. But okay, so one of the first signings that we did was Luis Gilherme from Palmeiras on a 5-year deal for just under £19.75 million of 23 million euros, if you remember right. Now, well, obviously, there was a player. This is a sort of player that we haven't really seen that much of prior to this. He's featured in a few bits of the pre-seasons, especially away from home over in the States. So yeah, Dan, you give us your thoughts on Luis so far.
Well, there's not a lot because I really don't know much about this guy. But the way I look at it is it fits the Sullivan criteria of a little gem from South America, ideally Brazilian. He loves those signings. It's a young signing that fits the kind of model that Tim Steidten wants to build. And at roughly £19 million, although you turn the clock back even as much as 5 years ago, that's nothing to be sneezed at
No.
or sniffed at. Considering the other expenditure we're having and the modern day of transfers, even if he totally flops, I guarantee you'll get about half of that back by the fact that he is a Brazilian and highly rated. He's not as highly rated as Endrick and the other one. I can't remember his name from Palmeiras, but them as an attacking free were like tipped as like, okay, these are going to be future, big profits for Palmeiras to then send to Europe. Admittedly, like I said, he's the lesser of the three, but he's still one of them three.
Yeah, no, agreed, mate. And as I say, I'm looking from what I've seen of him. He looks fast. It looks like he's got a nice little pass on him. I don't know if he's gonna have a decent enough pass to do anything long. But we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, so far so good. Now the next signing we're going to talk about, I didn't do a video about when he was having his medical because it was pretty much not worth it, to be honest with you. Third choice goalkeeper bought into technically also replace Ogbonna, but more specifically to bolster up the homegrown quota is Wes Frodingham from Sheffield United on a 2-year deal. And it was on a free transfer. So obviously there's going to be a few £1 million signing on fee. Then your thoughts on this move?
Yeah, it's a solid third choice keeper. He pulled off a lot of saves for Sheffield United because he kind of had to. Please don't sue me. But yeah, Wes Fodringham, it's just quite amusing that name is now a West Ham player because I always knew him as that guy that kicked off and tried to attack Di Canio when he subbed him before half time at Swindon. But he was solid enough at Rangers. He was solid enough at Sheffield United in front of an absolute tin pot defence. So again, don't sue me. Yeah, makes sense. Third choice goalkeeper means that we can loan out all our youth goalkeepers within reason and hopefully have them solid loads instead of having a Nang on the bench as two keepers on the bench.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, we've got a squad big enough not to have that anymore, which is phenomenally good. We've got 12 people watching, guys. Come on, give us your thoughts on these players. And also, but yeah, as I say, I don't disagree with this. I kind of think it's a waste of a move at one point because of it. Because I don't. But at the same point, in the highly likely event that both goalkeepers being injured, I do think this is a good idea from that point of view. But again, I don't know why we couldn't have kept Hedgie or have a Nang in there just in case. But
it also boosts the homegrown quota and it would be Anang would again get a deal if he accepts it to be there. He counts as
That's
homegrown,
what I'm saying. Yeah,
but
it wouldn't have made much of a
but
difference in that case.
yeah, worse or better, you'd rather the more experienced
Yeah.
hand in
Oh
that
no, of course,
situation.
no, of course, I know, but it just would. But again, it's the catch-22. You're not going to get experience without having games, but you can't get games if you haven't got the experience. So, but yeah, so Maxi Kilman, just over 40 million pounds plus add-ons, coming out to around about 47.5 million pounds from Wolves on a 7-year deal. Obviously, Kilman was Wolves' captain last season, and also for that matter, there's it's obviously a very good chance that he's going to become captain this season. Now we're looking to sell our captain, but more specifically of the players that Lopetegui worked with quite closely and got a nice build-up relationship with, and while they were at Wolves, Kilman was one of them. What are your thoughts, Dan?
I think I think the guy's money. He's 2-footed, so it covers that whole. Oh, we've got to play Aguerd because he's our only left-footed centre back problem when Aguerd is out of form. Equally, when you have Aguerd and you've got I like Mavropanos. I do. I like the idea as well as the reality of Mavropanos, but he has a mistake in him.
Mm.
And so therefore, if you need to drop one or the other, you can have Kilman in there and then bring in the other, rather than, oh, but we gotta play Aguerd because we don't have a left-footed centre back, you know. So yeah, I think it's good value for money. It's a type of defensive signing we should have made alongside Zouma at the time to really shore up that defense, but we didn't have the money.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolute colossus at the back for Wolves. Let's hope he replicates it.
Yep, and Ross, you heard me right. It was a 7-year deal. I double checked it when I was making my notes. He signed between now and 2031, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's a good move. It's a player the type of player we've needed for a long time. Kind of player we thought we were getting from Zouma. Now, before Ross goes on, but you can't have that. Yes, you can have it as long as the fee is paid off over a 5-year period. That was the rules that Chelsea invented last season. were made to be invented, I should say, last season. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. One of the big critics we were having last season was the fact that we don't really have any players out there that can be a captain in the background, and as a result of it, we've now got a very very good captain material, and there doesn't have to be a captain himself. It just be captain of the back four. If the conversation's going that there's potentially going to be Jared Bowen's going to be captain next season, or this coming season, I should say. But yeah, I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing what he can do, and hopefully we won't concede the same amount of goals as last time. But again, we conceded 75 goals last season. That would have got us relegated if we didn't have such an attacking force last season. So Christ knows what's going to happen now with these more attacking players this time round. Hopefully, we'll see a few more clean sheets as well, for that matter, with somebody like Kilman behind in the back four for us. Now the fourth signing we're going to be talking about, and I will now put up Michael's comments, is Serencio Somerville, 25 and a half,
That's the one.
25 and a bit million pounds plus add-ons totaling to around about 35 million quid on a 5-year deal. And just before we go into your thoughts on it, Michael Brown was saying Somerville was Leeds' top attacker last season, 19 goals and a number of assists. Absolutely correct. It was a speed and transition and Championship Player of the Year. Leeds failing to gain promotion, and we feared he would move on. And also, Michael says, good to see West Ham back in Lopetegui with the player recruitment. Let's hope he delivers this season. And the rest of those are all about Calvin Phillips. So yeah, mate, your thoughts on Somerville?
Somerville again, great investment. He's probably worth a bit more than what we paid, because if Leeds had gone up and he was still wanted by other clubs, they'd be able to name their price. It's just come down to, in considering Leeds at that part didn't need to sell because they had sold Archie Gray, who's Eddie Gray's nephew, or some form of relative.
Brain won't like that, but go on.
Yeah, some form of relative related somehow. So it's good business we managed to get it, because Leeds weren't in a position where they had to sell to balance the books by that point. West Ham football, Sean Whetton's come out with some more intricate details. He's in a tweet. He's advising that it's reached an agreement paying 26 million in installments with an extra 500,000 odd in additional fees.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many we wanted to pay
That
it.
goes back to what I said, mate.
Yeah,
Pretty much is
yeah,
35 million in total.
yeah. So that's where we're at with that. The guy's rapid, and like I said, I'm scared because it's the first time since 2003 we have signed a naturally left wing player, natural left winger that is fast.
And he's
The
right-footed.
last one that we've done is Matthew Etherington. We've had good left wingers, and we've had quick players that have been shoehorned into left wing, and we've had players that are good players that are neither left wing and neither quick, such as Paqueta, shoehorned out on the left wing. We finally got one that can do both, and as a result, because of this attack now, we can now switch up who we put on either of our wings depending on the opposition. We can actually leave them guessing a little bit rather than, right, well, you're going to have Bowen on the right, you're going to have Paqueta on the left. Teams know how we're going to set up. We can change it. The team sheet can change a couple of hours before kickoff. And hopefully, the Premier League managers don't have excess Patreon and they don't know what our lineup is.
Well, there is a rule coming in this coming season. Apparently, the team sheets have to go out an extra quarter of an hour earlier than they did previously, so an hour and a quarter before kickoff. So that's quite entertaining. I found the other comment that Michael made, who said, as a Leeds supporter, it was very sad to see Somerville go. He was great for Leeds in the Championship last season. He cost between £1.5 and £1.9 million. So West Ham have got an uncut diamond. And yeah, that's pretty much sums up what you're talking about there, mate.
And it's really refreshing to see a player go, and there's no bitterness. He's great. Go kill it, mate.
Yeah.
Although I haven't seen Wolves fans say negative things about Kilman. No. It's more West Ham, this, that, and the other. Whereas Leeds are like, yeah, go on, West Ham. You've got him. You've paid the money. Go enjoy him now.
And Russ says Archie Gray was shocking in that playoff final.
According to Troy Deeney, so was Somerville. So it's all right.
Well, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, there was when I did the medical video about him. There was a lead, another. I don't think it was Michael, but somebody else that had said the same thing, that he was was brilliant, but he was in whoever's pocket in the second half of the the playoff final, which is one of the reasons why they lost it. But it wasn't. It was because Southampton were just the better team in general. But yeah, I mean, he played like 55 games last season for Leeds, so it's not too bad. Now the next player we're going to talk about, Niklas Füllkrug, nicknamed Lockie, which is basically means his nickname is German for gap because of the gap in his teeth, which is hysterical. Hang on, before we come on to that, Michael's put another comment up. Leeds valued Somerville at £35 to £40 million. It's £25 million with add-ons depending on international caps. Pretty much what we're talking about. And West Ham winning a trophy and qualifying for Europe could rise to 35 million. Yeah, it will.
That old chestnut. Old chestnut.
Exactly. Yeah, but yeah, again, we were saying that with including the add-ons, it comes up to about 35 million. But yeah, if you want to, there's the YouTube channel 442 have done a very, very good video about Füllkrug and how he will be very intrinsic to our coming season. So if you haven't watched that, guys, after this, go watch it. It's very, very good, really interesting in about how the player is heat map and everything. It's phenomenally good. But Füllkrug we've signed him on a 4-year deal from Dortmund on just over £23 million. We've needed a proper centre forward for a long, long time. I wasn't all that bothered about him when they're signing, but now I've seen that 442 video because they are very, very detailed in terms of what's going on. For example, the guy that hosts it makes no bones that he's a Newcastle fan, and he said that he was talking about that poor goal that we conceded against Newcastle last season. He says with a centre forward like Füllkrug involved in it in terms of what he does in the midfield to help out, he says West Ham are not conceding that goal, and for an opposition fan to say that, I absolutely love it. So, Den, your thoughts on Füllkrug?
Well, I've heard a lot because he's a bit of a cult hero in Germany. So all my German mates are going, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're getting Füllkrug. You're gonna love him. He's not a world beater. He's not gonna score you 15 goals, but he's gonna entertain you. He's going to create chances. He's going to drop deep. He is going to need service, but his dropping deep and link up play is quite well. Some comments I've had from one of my mates who's an Arsenal fan who says, "Well, you got the backup to Havertz, so he can't be that good." That's a kind of a misconception,
Yeah.
and this is something I got told even before we were even linked with the geezer. I was watching with two of my German mates who visited London, watching the Spain-Germany quarter-final with them, and they said that it's the plan. You have Havertz on there to try and link up with Matey Boy, their young number 10 that's on the left wing that plays for Munich. And then when the defenders are tired or potentially on yellow cards, you bring in Füllkrug as a battering ram. So the one of my German mates who I value his football opinion very highly, like he was spot on about Kehrer, describes him as, imagine if Closer was a shithouse. That's what you're getting.
You still can't do it, can you?
Yeah,
you can't go one
I've already,
conversation.
well, I've said the word shithouse already in this.
No, you did it last night. You haven't said it yet.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what you're getting. You're not going to get a prolific striker. You're going to get basically sort of a slower Antonio with much better shooting accuracy. Like his goals to game ratio is very good. Admittedly, quite a bit of that is in the second Bundesliga.
Yeah, but also but it depends.
It
Depends on which club he's been playing for, because in the second Bundesliga he's been better than and vice versa. So, but yeah, he's like, you're absolutely right, mate. He scores a 1 in 3 on average, and that's Carlton Cole numbers. So it's not great, but like you're saying, his hold up play seems to be brilliant. And Brain says Füllkrug is a great signing. Perfect fit for West Ham. So we'll have to wait and see, mate. It'd be nice because at the end of the day, mate, that's what I'm saying. If we were able to concede 75 goals and finished 9th last season, imagine how we would be able to, what we're going to be able to do with a defence, hopefully a more watertight, I'm not saying airtight, that's physically impossible, but a more watertight defence than we had last season, and an out-and-out centre forward striker. It's wet in the taste buds. I'm not going to lie. It really, really is wet in the taste buds. And the other player that was officially confirmed yesterday is Guido Rodriguez on a 4-year deal. So again, as a free, it's probably going to be a couple of million signing off here. I mean, I don't know if it is a 4-year deal. I haven't seen anything official, but my instincts are saying it's probably going to be a 3 or 4-year deal. What are your thoughts on our one of many Argentine players over the years?
I don't know an awful lot about Guido Rodriguez, and I said this last night, and I haven't had the chance today to look into it at all. So I don't know an awful lot about this guy. Quite frankly, I've seen his name pop up on Football Manager. That's about it. I had never really heard of this bloke before we were linked with him. But if he's linked with Barcelona, and he's as hyped up as he is, and he's in the World Cup winning squad for Argentina and been at their Copa America squad,
and used to play with Alvarez as well, for that matter.
Yeah, he can't be a bad signing, surely. So whether he's in as backup or a partner for Alvarez remains to be seen. He's not had a pre-season, so I don't really expect him to play for a couple of weeks. But I don't have much judgment, but I look forward to it. It's a free transfer. There's a lot of hype around him, and he's had some positive input from Fornells. More power to him. Just hope he's a little bit better than Lionel Scaloni.
Mate, he won the World Cup. I know that 5 seconds, that 5-second mistake that he made in the FA Cup final against Liverpool. I get it. He was knackered like everybody else was. That's the reason why Gerrard did that shot, because he said his legs are gone, so he thought, right, sod it, I'm just going to smack it. But yeah, so overall, including the loan in the signing on fees for the freebies, I reckon we've committed to spend about £130 million. But when I say committed to spend, we're not actually spending that this season, because the majority, if not all of these players, are going to have a certain amount every year for the length of contract that we signed them for. So for example, with Guilherme, he's going to have 5 installments. He's going to have whatever the lump sum was plus another 4 installments over the next 4 years. Likewise with Kilman, with 4 years on top of whatever we paid them this year. Likewise with Somerville to Leeds, another 4 installments other than the payment we've done today, etc., etc. So three for Dortmund for Rodriguez. So yes, it sounds impressive, but we're just basically promising payment. We're not actually making that payment, because I'll be very surprised if some of these players, like Füllkrug, for example, he's still here at the end of his 4-year deal. And that's one of the things that worries about me, because he's moved to 2 clubs in the space of 2 seasons now, and that just screams that he wants money. I mean, he's coming towards the end of his career anyway. He's 31-year-old centre forward. So, but overall, and obviously, we've got how many? We've got three and a half weeks, just under 3.5 weeks left to go before the transfer window closes. Other than the Zouma move, because obviously that means we need to bring in another centre back. Then, are there any other positions that you feel we still need to go in for before the window closes?
Well, obviously, right back, which we're having a whole saga and drama about.
Yep.
And personally, I would like a better left back option than Cresswell, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for saying that.
Doesn't matter.
I think there's too much, like we've seen with Ogbonna. As much as I do, I love the guy. We are a sentimental bunch, and sometimes we do hang on to players a little too long. I do think this is a contract too far for Cresswell, but there are moments last season where he played quite well. He got a goal at last after a couple of years.
He did make some decent runs again against Newcastle. Newcastle away at the start of last season. For some random reason, he just seems to be able to play against Newcastle.
Yeah. So that maybe a better backup left back, but the priority's got to be centre back or right back. We can't go into a season with just Kufal. He loves a booking, and he also has, he's not. I wouldn't say he's injury prone, but there's always, his hamstrings a bit tight.
Yeah,
got a calf problem. And as the age he gets a bit older, that's going to become more common. You can't risk it. I don't know what the status is of our youth right back, but the fact I can't even name him probably suggests that he's quite far away from the first team.
No, if you go and have a look at the video that I put up on Monday about the 5 players that we could potentially bring in, be bringing in to replace Zouma. None of them are on the list in any shape or form. It's just purely my details. I do also go into some honourable mentions, and it's Junior something or other, who is a right back for the under 21s. Let me just bring up the notes just to double check again. Where are we? Okay, no, I didn't put it in my notes, but there is a junior something or other who is a right back in the under 21s group, but his numbers aren't decent enough for him to be considered for the senior team from what I'm seeing. Basically, thank you, Todd. Thank you very much, mate. Junior Robinson, that's the guy. Yeah. Yeah, it's not the best of things for me personally. Yeah, I agree with you, mate. Backup right back, 100%. Backup left back, to a lesser extent, yes. Emergency sort of thing. I would bring in a junior if Cresswell couldn't make it and Emerson couldn't make it. I wouldn't go out for just yet, but yeah, it's certainly a position we need. And yeah, whoever's going to replace Zouma is if he does go, it looks like it's pretty much on. Yeah, definitely. So there's those 3, and possibly another left winger, because I can't see, as much as I hate to see it, I can't see Cornet coming. I really can't see him having much of a run out again this season. But again, you never know. It's a brand new manager with brand new different tactics. Nobody knows what's going to happen at the moment. But again, as I say, we've got a squad big enough to have a decent starting 11 and a decent bench. It's the first time. It's been a long time since we've been able to say that. I genuinely think the last time anybody said we had a decent bench was under Pardew. I genuinely think that's the last time that any of us said it.
We had a decent bench at times under Kirbishley, mainly because we had about 70 players.
Yeah, I know, but most of those were Pardew's layoffs, mate, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, but so I know you posted the questions to the group chat the other day. So if you were Lopetegui, what would your starting 11 be for Villa?
Oh, well, really question marks over fitness and availability. Is this a situation where everyone's match fit and Rodriguez has had a pre-season? So like my Areola in goal. I'd have Emerson because he's apparently played well at pre-season and impressed at training, and I would have Aguerd and Kilman, mainly because Aguerd can probably have a bit more freedom with Kilman next to him compared to how he would with Zouma. And it'll have to be Kufal at right back, because I don't see us signing a right back the next week, and even how prepared they would be
Well, if
to
we're just going
start.
to interject with that really quickly, Todd has put a comment in. Thanks, mate. Apparently linked to Martinez, a Spanish right back. Yes, I've heard that rumor, but I haven't had anybody reliable say it. So, but yes, it's nice to know that we are actually looking for one. Then, sorry, continue.
Um, yeah, no problem. And then like obviously I'd have well if Alvarez has got as a hamstring problem, it would be Rodriguez at CDM. However, how ready he is, I don't know.
Mm,
And then you'd have a middle two of Sushek and Ward-Prowse, just because sticking with what you know,
yeah.
I'd have Kudos right. I would stick Paqueta left purely because I want Somerville to integrate a bit better, and
Hmm.
I feel against the Villa side, he's someone you'd want to bring on.
Yes,
And
100% agree.
ditto for Füllkrug because I would have Jared Bowen, J-Rod starting up top. And I believe, based on that, you would have James Ward-Prowse as your captain, seeing as he was captain at Southampton for about a decade. Well, best part of a decade.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But okay, so that's your reality. But you're
mm.
taking into consideration. All right, let's put it this way: you're doing Championship Manager, or sorry, Football
And
Manager, where
who's your captain?
everybody's fit.
All right, okay. Yeah. So then what I would do, it depends on the opposition. If it's one where you need to sit back a bit, I'd swap Alvarez for Sushek,
Hmm.
and I would have Somerville on the left for the pace, and flip a coin as to whether you play Bowen or Antonio up top for pace with Goodus on the right.
Hmm.
And then you'd bring on the full crook, you'd bring on Paqueta to unpick them with a pass late on when they're a
Yeah.
bit sloppy and knackered, and Füllkrug to just be battering ram, just bang, 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 and just smash
All
their
right, mate.
defenders.
Jesus.
Yeah. That's what I would
This
do.
is what
So.
happens. This is what happens, guys, when he hasn't eaten. I tell you. But
I've got some Cajun chicken waiting for me. So
but yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I mean, with the exception of the potential of having Mavropanos in for a Gued, that's pretty much what I'm kind of thinking. I mean, and that's scary. That is a scary thing that we're trying to
yeah,
figure out. Right, because we've got Danny Ings who's looking leaner and sharper than he in pre-season. He's certainly looking a lot slimmer, and it looks like he's actually been paying a bit more attention. So it's clear that he wants to fight for his position. So we got he can do things. I mean, in the FA Cup, both games against Bristol, the original and the replay, I thought he showed a lot of promise of what he's capable of doing. But yeah, guys, thank you very very much for sticking around with us, and Dennis, thank you very much for coming back and doing this. I know it was exceptionally it was early notice, but it was short notice at the same point. And to everybody that was watching the video that went up as a premiere yesterday and we're saying that about all the issues, thank you very much. I really really do appreciate it. This is what I love about this 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 these people is. So if you haven't already done so, guys, please do subscribe. I mean, we've had two new subscribers tonight, so thank you very very much for that. Really, well, three I should say. Two tonight, but three since this is actually detailed to go up. So thank you very much for all your time, and Dennis, as always, mate, thank you very much for your insight. And you hadn't actually, mate, this is the first conversation we've had where you've only had one slight deviation, and even that was a relevant quote from The Simpsons. I'm impressed, mate. I am impressed. So hopefully when you do Gates's video tomorrow, you'll keep that momentum going.
it's because I've had 3 bites of the cherry of talking about this. I know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, it's a good point. But yeah, guys, thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you very much for sticking around. If you haven't already done so, please do like this video. And even if you're watching the replay, thank you. Please do hit the replay as well. Hit the like button for that. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. Whenever anything comes up that's going to be a little bit more specific, then it'll come up. But other than that, I'll do my thoughts on the pre-season probably on Sunday or start our next week. And of course, I'll be doing the video about the home kit and the away kit when they come through as well. So in the meantime, guys, take care, look after yourselves, and we'll see you very very soon. All the best now.